Beauty is the beast. That's the name of a recent Forbes article that talks about how the focus on beauty is eroding women's self-confidence. And I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Professor Susan Whitbourne from UMass Amherst, and you are our go-to guide on topics like this. We were talking about this off camera. We've talked about some pretty important topics this season already. Ban Bossy campaign, self-image and social media, how that plays a role. We've talked about bullying, and now we're talking about this. These are important topics, though.
Yep, and thank you for always for bringing this one to my attention and getting me to think more about it, because I'm always interested in this topic, and I think this can really take us to some pretty good places as far as exploring women's self-esteem and how we feel, particularly at different stages of life.
So talk about, what did you learn when you were doing research into this? What did you learn the correlation between a woman's self-confidence and the focus on beauty?
Well, I think what the Forbes article pointed out that really got me thinking was the splitting of your consciousness and your attention. So I wrote a blog kind of involving that, but then finding a couple of different studies where it's really your mental bandwidth gets taken up by these preoccupations with how you look, and you literally can't think about your work when you're so preoccupied about how you look.
You're right, the article had mentioned that, where all the other important things in your life, like you said, it gets taken up by that. And it kind of goes back to the title, Beauty is the Beast, and makes you kind of think how this eroding self-confidence has turned into such an ugly factor in women's lives.
Yes.
Would you say it's kind of unfair of the perception that's being put on women to attain a certain physical beauty as opposed to men, and how does that affect their workplace, their work environment?
Well, men, I think, also want to look good. I mean, there's certainly plenty of jokes about that and a lot of kidding around, but for women, I think it goes deeper, and that it really penetrates your consciousness much, much more, because women do get so, I hate to use the term, objectified. I mean, I know that gets overused, but it really is objectification. And the one study I found, that a relatively new study, where they showed images of women to women and men, and regardless of the condition, men were more likely to kind of focus in on that target zone of the middle of a woman's body instead of looking at her face. And we all know that feeling where, hello, I'm up here, take your eyes up here and let's talk. And those kinds of subtle, almost unconscious responses to us do cause us to objectify ourselves.
So if we don't put any focus on beauty, then we could go the opposite extreme and not even care about how we look, but we obviously don't want to go to that extreme. How do we find the balance between saying it's okay to be beautiful and to feel pretty, but not going to the extreme where it basically rules your life?
I think that's where your conscious control over what you're doing comes into play. Because it's true that throughout recorded history, people have beautified their bodies, men and women. And people are going to wear decorations and jewelry and makeup and hair and all that. I mean, it kind of goes with being human. It's just when it becomes your focus instead of kind of a complement to what else you're doing and just sort of a part of your identity. But when you go to work thinking about, I feel bad today because I'm having a bad hair day, or my makeup is wrong, or something about me, I'm feeling fat. I mean, all these kind of thoughts that float through your head are really going to distract you from your work, and that's the problem.
So I'm a huge fan of social media, so I love to ask questions on social media. I probably ask too many questions, but I still love doing it. Asked two different questions. I asked, how often do you wear makeup? Always, occasionally, never. For the most part, I got occasionally, although some people did say always or whenever I leave the house, but I didn't really get any never responses. So we find that women tend to use makeup occasionally or all the time. But then I also asked, when should a girl start wearing makeup? Basically, what is an appropriate age? Elementary, middle school, high school. Everybody said high school. But I feel as if perhaps younger and younger girls are starting to become, I don't know, it's almost as if they're growing up maybe too fast.
Absolutely. But I think so much of this is a function of commercialization of women in makeup and clothing. I mean, I talked in my blog about you can't walk through the mall without being assaulted by these images, and Sephora and Victoria's Secret, and you go by there, and it's really hard for a little girl kind of not to be drawn to that, because their moms are, and other people are too. So it's almost like commercialization is bringing the age level lower and lower just because it expands the market.
So what is the take-home message? What do we need to know? What do we need to learn from all this?
The take-home message is it's fine to primp to a certain extent. Everybody likes it, and to different degrees. But the take-home message is primp to your heart's content, but let beauty be in your own mind's eye, not in the eye of the beholder. And really, once you can rid yourself of these concerns and preoccupations, focusing on your work is really going to make you feel good about yourself and help you get the acceptance that we all like to have for our self-esteem.
Beauty comes from within. I know we always hear that. Sometimes I think it's harder to really live by that message. Is it the cynic in me that says, is it really possible for, people to really look at the inside of a person and not the outside and judge that person by their character? I mean,
it's very difficult because we do respond to images, and we respond to images of people wearing makeup. But sometimes what people don't realize is that you're more often appreciated for getting rid of some of those layers, and people will actually relate better to you when you don't have all the poofing and outside mask going on, that we really can see who you are, and people can sense that.
Being real, being true. It's very true. Always a pleasure, and as we're coming to the end of our season, I so appreciate your time this season 4 that you've been coming on the show and talking to us about these important topics. So thank you, Dr. Whitbourne.
Thank you, Elise. Always a pleasure.